How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. So good to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for willing to do this.
Can you hear me all right? I'm just using an iPad for a, I'm not using my microphone or anything, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, it sounds fine.
Sweet. Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm stoked to talk to you. I was watching some of your other interviews, that you have, and you've like interviewed so many people. How many have you done now?
You'd be my 313th.
That feels like a lucky number. Let's pretend it is.
Yeah. Was that
That's amazing. Well, congrats. That's really, really cool.
Oh, thank you. Was that your first time up in Minnesota for the con?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think it was. I think it was. I mean, I may have stopped by briefly on the way somewhere, but I feel like that was the first time. Yeah. So it was pretty exciting. I actually really liked it. It was very fun. I kind of missed that already. Sometimes you really like miss certain cons, and that was a really fun one.
Oh, that's
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah, so I can just jump around then with your career.
Sure, yeah, please. Feel free.
So the first thing I can ask, do you have a special story of how you got into SAG?
I got into SAG through I was Taft Hartleyed as a Taft Hartley is like the process that they use to sort of request that this person join the union if you're non-union. And it's a very common process. I was Taft Hartleyed for a Lifetime movie. I was doing more on-camera work than voiceover at the time. And I was a child actor, I was a minor. But yeah, which actually, like looking back, I'm really thankful that they used a child actor, because sometimes, especially back then, like they wouldn't want to use real kids. That try and find someone that's like older that looks younger, especially if it's like teenage stuff, but yeah, so I was still a minor, and they had to like request to Taft Hartley me. But it's not like I don't think it's like a it's not supposed to have like barriers. It's supposed to be there to help, get people into the union. um so yeah, so that's actually how I joined the union, and it was for a Lifetime movie called Queen Sized. So yeah. Very funny, cute, like Lifetime movie-esque, thing, where I was like a bully. And I remember like everyone being like, "How could you be a bully? You're so nice." I was like, acting. Um, but yeah, it was really fun, and that was my first. I think my first union thing. There's sometimes you can do like union projects as a non-union actor as an extra or something like that, and that's how some people join the union too, getting hours. And then if you have enough hours, you apply and you can submit yourself to join the union, right? And that's how a lot of people do it. And that's why people do extra work sometimes to get those hours or whatever in. And so I think maybe I might have been doing some of that, and maybe had like been involved in other SAG stuff before. I don't fully remember. But yeah, that I know for sure that they had to do the Taft Hartley for me for the Lifetime movie. And then at the time, yeah, it was, I mean, yeah, it was a good time, and I'm really thankful that that all happened, and thankful for that experience. Thanks for asking. That's such a fun question. Like, I have heard other people's answers, and they're all so different. So
Yeah.
it's been funny to hear like there's so many different ways to pet a cat. So
Was there like a specific thing that happened that made you want to pursue voice acting more so than live action?
I think it was more just like a time thing. Like, I mean, I wish I had unlimited time to pursue every artistic inclination that came my way. Um, I don't I don't really think of myself necessarily as just a voice actor. I In my head I think of myself as an actor. Um, and it's funny now because things have gotten so voiceover heavy for me in the last few years, and doing the con circuit, people know me as a voice actor. But I kind of grew up just thinking like I will do any sort of acting that I am allowed to do. I will, because I actually was doing theater for the, you know, since I was a kid. And I can't even, I mean, I haven't done a play in years now. But there was a time when like I definitely could not have imagined my life without theater, you know? So, um, I think it was just kind of it's just a timing thing. Like, I feel like the projects you're supposed to do will find you. So I'm not saying like I'm never going to go back to film again or I'm never going to go back to theater again. Like, these things are all still very present inspirations, I guess, for my life. So I don't think it was necessarily like a conscious choice to be like, and now I'm a voice actor and that's what I ever shall be. Like, I don't know, it's that's just what's coming to me now, and I'm thankful for that, and I do so very much love that. um but I'm open to like any type of storytelling that feels right. Would be what I would want to pursue. So yeah, I hope honestly that there is some fluctuation in like what I'm doing artistically, you know, if I'm given the time, basically. Because yeah, I really value other types of storytelling as well. And I went to USC for film. So I would love to be able to be on the creative end of something someday when that's right, for me. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's like one moment where I was like, it's voiceover now. But that being said, I always really loved cartoons, and as a child, I was obsessed with Miyazaki and Pokemon and uh the Nickelodeon shows like Rocket Power, Rugrats, Doug, you know. Oh, and I'm such a big Futurama fan. So like those were always such massive inspirations for me artistically. And I think that the appeal sometimes for working in voiceover is it opens up like so many possibilities because I could play little boys and I can play old ladies, old grandmas, you know. So just artistically it's like so it's so much more open for you, for me, I guess, not for everyone maybe, but I found like it very gratifying to explore acting in that way. I always liked character work too, so the idea that this is like opening up different characters that you wouldn't play on camera, that's pretty amazing, you know. So yeah, I mean, I definitely am really thankful for having honed in on a form of being an actor that allows me so much freedom. But I also, you know, I'm open to any, and I'm open to, I just want to keep telling stories any way that comes, any way that feels right when the seasons of my life change. And um as they probably will throughout the course of my life, I assume. So, you know, we'll just kind of see what comes. Keep an open mind.
Well, I know that you got into doing looping for a major film and TV pretty early on in your career too.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's such a specific part of voiceover that most people don't ask me about because they want to know about my work in anime or video games or something. But yeah, I'm really lucky to have gotten into that because that is so, honestly, I love that work. It's so fulfilling to me because it's so heavily improv. There's so much freedom, but you have to work within certain rules of things that you can and can't do. For example, you can't say brand names, you know. If you're working in a movie, you can't say Coca-Cola, right? Because they're gonna be like, did that extra just say something about a Coca-Cola commercial? Like, you know, so there's all these different rules and names you can't use. Like, even you wouldn't want to use, for example, like the name of a movie star that's in the movie. So if you're using like, if you're in a working on a Tom Cruise movie or something, you wouldn't be like, oh hey Tom, do we have toilet paper? Like if you're in a grocery store, you know what I mean? Because it's just like distracting. And what if that plays more loudly than you anticipated and the audience can hear like someone just said Tom, and it takes them out of the movie, right? It's distracting. So there's all these rules that's like things that you can and can't do to make the world better without being a distraction, because that's kind of there's an art to that. There's basically, it's one of those things that if when it's done really well, you don't notice it at all. When it's done badly, then all of a sudden you notice it. You know. So so yeah, but I really am thankful for having worked in that community, in that world for so long, because I've learned so much watching some of the great like loopers that have worked on so many things. They are actual geniuses at what they do. And I feel, and looping is something generally we have done it remotely during the pandemic. We did, and we still do occasionally, but it is one of those things that is benefited by having people in the same room, and you kind of play off each other because it's all improv and crowds. So I have just been so blessed to have gotten to watch some of these people that are doing it, that are, I think, like actual geniuses. They're so good at what they do. And yeah, so many hundreds of hours watching them has made me into, I hope, a pretty good looper. But knock on wood. And I'm trying my best. I'm trying to get better and better, and I'm trying to, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of research, because you actually do have to do research on how EMTs talk, how nurses talk, how, what's the procedure for police dispatch and stuff like that, because all those things are in the movie. That's the kind of extra sound that we're filling in. And almost every movie has a hospital scene, or a police uh crime scene or something. It's like constant. And so you have to research that. Like, I've spent a lot of time looking up police codes in different metropolitan areas, and looking up, I have so many maps on the streets of New York, like what intersects with what's uptown, what's downtown, what's midtown, what's in Astoria, like what streets are over there, like all these like things that you would like say in a movie if you lived in that world, and they all have to be really grounded in reality. And yeah, it's a lot harder than it sounds, basically, and it's sort of a little like kind of small section of the voiceover world at large, but the people that work in it are really talented. And I'm really, really thankful that they let me poke my toes into that world, and try to swim in it. But yeah, I'm trying. I really am.
Well, what do you think in general, for a character or anything is the case where you've had to alter your voice the most so
Or
far?
I've had to alter my voice. Oh, that's such a good question. Your questions are amazing. Um, uh, I have altered my voice a lot in a lot of things. But there's some that like I have coming up in the next few years that I think people won't even probably guess it. People never really guess that it's me. The only time that people really do is when I'm doing like a sort of like monotone sort of thing, like when it's in here and it's sort of flat, then people are like, oh, that's Ryan. But like anything else, people never really guess it's me for some reason. And I'm actually kind of like, guys. um, but I'm doing something now. I can't really talk much about it, but it's a character I definitely have never done. So I'm really excited about that. And then I mean, I think that sometimes like the more action heavy stuff, because I do so much like the kind of pulled in, aloof, mysterious kind of characters, that when it's like really action heavy, like Beyblade or something like that, where it's like really screamy, and you're going all out like all the time, right? Like that's a very, very different thing than what I'm usually hired to do, which is so much more withdrawn. So I don't know. I'm always kind of all over the place, but I will say that like I think that you can work on your own. If anyone's watching this and wants to be a voice actor, I think that people can actually enhance their own vocal dexterity by just pushing themselves more and more. It's a muscle, you know what I mean? So like the more you stretch it and the more you try to do different things, the stronger you will get. I That has been my experience, at least. So I'm always encouraging people to like try different things vocally, because you really don't know actually what you can and can't do until you try. And there's been, like, for example, with Jujutsu Kaisen, like I play Shoko, and she's kind of like right in here, like kind of lower and kind of like a little gravelly, and kind of sexy, and like people never ever think of me for those roles. And it's such a popular show right now, and I don't even think that like anyone that watches it knows that I'm on it. So it's just not, it's not me doing my normal thing that I do. And it's still such a cool character, and people dig her a lot. And I like her. I'm so thankful to get to play her, and get to play her across timelines and storylines. Um, but yeah, people forget that I am even on that show, let alone like that I'm a character that you see, through several different incarnations, versions of her at different ages. But yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question, but that's a good question. And ultimately, I'm just really thankful to get to try different things. That's all. I just want to, I don't want to be just one thing. I really don't. But that being said, we all have things that we are really good at. Like we all have fortes. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is a strong suit. I do this thing really well. And people think of me for that thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, we are all we all need that almost to help people remember who we are and what we can do well. But at the same time, a lot of actors, myself included, are like constantly trying to figure out what else I can do and also make it good. It's not just something I can do, it's something that's good enough for it to be competitive and I could actually book a role like that. And I remember there was a voice that I had on my demo years ago, like one of my old, not that old, but not it's an older-ish demo, right? And I did this voice that was very like not really my type of character, and my agent at the time was like, you can probably take that one off, like it's just not, I don't think anyone's gonna be looking for you to do that thing. And I did take it off, but last year I booked a role with that voice. It's much better than it was back then because I got better at it. But it's a huge project and I'm doing that. So never like limit yourself to say, oh, I'm not going to play. I just can't do those roles because you really don't know. If you work hard enough and you listen to who does those things well and you stretch yourself, you actually maybe could be competitive in that area. If you try, if you try really hard to be. So I'm just always looking for like what could I maybe try to explore, and then we'll take it from there. I'm gonna fail a lot, but that's a given anyway. So why not see what can we learn from this? What can we learn from trying this? And then, if it really doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out. But you're not gonna be harmed by trying something new artistically. So that's kind of where I come from.
Well, I know that like with Komagi and Hunter x Hunter, they don't have to do that the whole time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that was like, I think when I auditioned for that role, I didn't know that I was going to that they wanted her to have a lisp. I think they did describe her as nasal, so I probably did that in the audition, but I didn't put the lisp with it. And I remember that being so intimidating because, you know, when you go into the booth being thrown, like that's a pretty different artistic choice to throw in a lisp than to not. So I remember like kind of thinking like, all right, here goes nothing. Like yeah, like let's try that, sure. Um, but not knowing that it would work and that it would work so well with the character, that's where it pays to have a great creative team, director and a great casting director who can say like, we have thoughts that can enhance what you brought to the table and, you know, make something really, really, really special and unique. Um, yeah, and the funny thing is, vocally it's not that different from other things I've done, but it sounds so different because of the attitude of that character and because of the list. Because it's not like, I was thinking about that voice compared to my other voices, and it's actually not that far off from Takachiyo, which is like the little like um kind of, he's like the
Yeah.
little, yeah, and Yashihime, he's like this little, oh well, I'm just right in here. And Komuki is here. It's like, can you hear vocally how like that's not that different compared to, you know, Shoko Ayuri and, Digimon Kari. Those are way more different, right? Just vocally. But it's the attitude of the characters that make them so different. And of course, the lisp helps, the nasalness helps, right? Because that makes her even more specific. But but really it's her gentleness. Versus Takachio is such a little punk, he's always causing trouble. So, it's just their vibes are so different that they seem like so different of characters, but in terms of what part of my range I'm using, they're pretty close. So yeah, I don't know. It's there's a whole, you know, I mean, we're this is a craft. We're trying to do something really artistic here, and mix a little of that with a little bit of this, and make something special and new, and then throw it out and do it again with nothing, like we are kind of experimenting and exploring as we go. And I love that things still come to me that are brand new. That's like really kind of magical when that happens. But also never really unexpected, because that's why I'm still doing this, is because I think I still have things to explore. So yeah. But that's such a good question too. Thank you for that as well.
Well, in terms of your larger scale characters, who do you think in anime and stuff, who do you think that you personally relate the most to?
Um I relate very much to Rei Ayanami in Neon Genesis Evangelion, and to uh from Carol and Tuesday, I played the antagonist, Angela, and it's by the creator of Cowboy Bebop, so it kind of visually kind of looks like that, but it's a musical comedy about a girl band um, who does folk music, and I play the antagonist, who's like a rival pop star. I love that show. It's a very, if you're looking, oh, here it says 2019 with an English dub, 2019. So yeah, pretty recent-ish, and within the last few years, and it's sort of a mini series. Like, it has a very specific beginning and end, so it's not like a massive time commitment if anyone's looking for some new anime to get into, but they don't want something that's going to take them, excuse me, like years and years, you know what I mean? um and I think there's two seasons, but they're not that long, and yeah, it's just such a good story, and I really enjoyed exploring that character as well, and could find the cool thing about I think that if you're a really good actor, you can actually find things about yourself in every character. So it's like that you might start connecting to one unexpectedly, like, oh, which one's more like you? It's like, well, they all kind of have a piece of me, to be honest. That's why I loved playing them. And like finding how I can relate to them. Um, Finding me in them is like, or them and me, uh, is really the key, and what makes it so fun. So, but I do relate to Ray in ways that without having to dig so deep, there were already a lot of similarities close to the surface. Um, so yeah, yeah. And I play so many characters that like aren't human. Spoiler alert. There's some that like you think are human the entire time and then they're not. So um yeah, that's been, I don't know why. And that's not just an anime thing, because even in anime, there's so many characters in anime that aren't human, and that's a given. But like I play them in other like in video games too. I still find these types of roles. Um but I actually really I enjoy that too, because it lets you really explore what makes a character human, because there's always this question of yeah, they're not actually human, but here's all the ways in which they have these humanity, they have human traits and feelings. So then aren't they actually like, doesn't that make them then quite human? And they end up, kind of coming to terms with their humanity in front of the audience's eyes throughout the course of the show. And that's a very like intimate and sort of intricate journey that I appreciate exploring, and very complex sort of um, thing that I get to think about and reflect on. Um, and yeah, I still think like I'm not done in that realm either. Like I still feel like there's more to explore in that world as well, which I've said before in other interviews. So yeah, But that's usually my answer though to that question is those two characters come to mind, but there's so many others. I remember like, for example, when we did Magia record, I played Sana, who's this character that I think her she gets she experiences this uh she kind of it's called total isolation, and she goes to this like other world because she wishes that people I think couldn't see her or something like that. Because she's very introverted. I forget exactly, but she ends up being like incredibly isolated. And we recorded that during the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, when we really were quite isolated. Um, and we couldn't go into the studios. This was like the first show that I think the first new show possibly that I recorded um from quarantine. So like I think there were other things that I worked on before in quarantine, but they were like stuff I started in studios and then like had to, but Sana was from the beginning, and Magia record, at least for me, was recorded remotely. And I remember reflecting really deeply on isolation and I was truly profoundly lonely. So that was helpful to be to have those emotions so close to the surface when you're exploring her storyline specifically. So basically you just find you in there. You find, you know, the parts of you in characters that maybe you didn't even really know were a part of you until you start digging around in someone else, you know. But yeah, that's kind of the magic. So it it's fun. And it's has no limiter. You know, it's like it you always find things that you didn't think you were gonna find. Um, so that's why we keep doing it.
Outside of like personal relation, do you have the most affinity with Ram?
Oh gosh, I definitely okay. I have to admit, honestly, I the I'm so protective of all my characters. Like I truly do like love them all so much. And it's hard to pick a favorite because they're all my babies, right? But but I actually super love Takachio from Yashahime. I've already brought him up once. But you know, he's so funny. It's fun to be him. Um he lives in a world of his choosing. He's a he's basically doing this bounty hunter thing because he wants to, because he you find out several, you know, episodes in, like almost all the way to the end, I think, that he is a prince. So it's like then it makes it all makes like you always got the vibe that he was doing this because he wanted to, because that's his attitude, you know. But then like you find out that like no, he did choose this life. Like he could have been a leader in his um his he's from like this royal family, you know. But no, he wanted more adventure in life, and he it just wasn't a good fit for him to be a prince or whatever. He wanted to be on the open seas or whatever it is he's after, you know. And I love playing him was so much more fun than so many of the other characters that I've played. But that doesn't mean I didn't like the experience is so heavy sometimes when you're playing characters. You can love them, but not love being in their skin, if that makes sense. So it's like I love them all, but some of them have more tragic lives that you know, it's just kind of heavy to carry around with you while you're working. But working on Yashahime, at least as Takachio, was always like so fun. I mean, he even when things were scary, he was hilariously scared. Like, I mean, not for him, I guess, but he always kind of has this sense of like, I'm probably gonna be all right, you know, like how am I gonna get out of this one? Oh boy, you know, like he kind of he has a good attitude, even when he's complaining. And yeah, he's just very fun. And it's also like, oh well, you know, it's one of the only voices that I do for fun because you know he's just a fun little guy, you know. So like I it just like he has my heart. That's what I say, because he has my heart. But I don't know, I mean, I love them all. I do I love them all equally. um yeah, Rom is so complex too. You brought up Rom. um we saw so much more of who she is in the second season. Um, and I'm so grateful because I kind of already knew who I thought she was, but like getting to show you all different sides of her, uh, because the writing was so great, um, was truly a privilege for sure. That's such a wonderful show, and we're so thankful to have to still be on it. They make that show very slowly, so it's but it's always good. I want people to like take their time, make it right, you know what I mean? Like don't rush it because it's such a good show. So I'm thankful the audience has stayed stuck around and waited, well, in between seasons, because we've only had 2 seasons and it's been like a lot of years. So I appreciate that fan base seems ever dedicated, and we're all like chomping at the bit to return to those roles, as many times as we're asked to, for as long as we're asked to. Knock on wood that I hope there's more adventures for them in store. I never know where that storyline's gonna go because it could go anywhere, and I don't read the mangas. I don't read the manga before, and there's so many different light novels and ways that you could tell this story. Um, so I don't take for granted necessarily that I'm going to be a part of it, because who knows, like, what character it'll focus on next. Like Rem fell out of the storyline for so long. So I don't necessarily assume that I'm gonna be around, but I hope I am, like I'm here and ready whenever the creators decide like this is the story and this is what we're gonna explore next. I really hope that we get to see Rem and Rom back together again, reunited, because I really miss her. I miss my sister so much. Um, Even as like me, Ryan, as an artist, like I miss Rem, like I miss her being part of the story. Um, and so you can only imagine how much Rom would miss her. So I really hope that that's in store and that we get those funny classic Rem and Rom moments again. And I'm sure we will. I mean, why would we not? um, so fingers crossed that we get more time with them.
Well, touching on boy voices, I know I have talked to or everyone that I have talked to kind of has their own process of doing it. So how do you approach boy voices?
Ooh, nice question. Okay, so for me, I make sure like it's not just about like lowering your voice, it's also about like how you actually move your mouth. So I remember taking a class with someone who we were talking about children's voices and the enunciation. One of the best things I ever learned is enunciate to the level of your character, which means only enunciate so much as is appropriate for this role. It's not like, oh, voice actors must be good at enunciating everything. Like, no, if you're playing a character that is like maybe they grew up without an education, or maybe they are very young, or maybe, whatever, like there's reasons that are character driven reasons why this person wouldn't enunciate. Or maybe they're like, a genius scientist or something, and they are never really talking to you, they're talking to themselves because they have so many good ideas and they're mumbly, like there's a million reasons why someone may not enunciate, but it comes from, at least when you're doing a story, a character driven piece, like you have to justify it. So when we talked about children, we talked about like them not really enunciating as well. If you've ever been around real kids, they don't enunciate. They're like, oh, what? Like they're just like blah 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 sometimes. No offense, children, but they don't like articulate always. Um, and they also stop and start their sentences at random intervals. So there's when I do kids, I try to speed up sometimes and then slow down. Like it's just sort of a more erratic kind of pacing, and I use my jaw in a different way. Um, just like a little bit less like tight. Like I always think about how if somebody is very like type A, you know, to the point person, how they would use their mouth and how it's so much sharper in the way that they even shape their lips and stuff than someone who isn't, like a kid. So yeah, just like loosening the jaw, keeping the mouth kind of, kind of just more free to be clumsier with your words. And yeah, so it's a lot more than just like lowering your voice, or for a boy, or pitching it up for a little girl. There's a physical thing that you can do with your lips and stuff. So yeah, and just I think my biggest piece of advice for people that want to do little boy voices, or children's voices in general, is to listen to kids, listen to real kids. And it's so easy, like they are all over the world. There's children everywhere. um, whether you like it or not. No, I'm just kidding. But there's, just listen to real kids. Like, and if you like, they're on YouTube. I've, you know, listened to children. There's been auditions I've gotten that are like, they want like a children's dialect of some sort, like a some sort of UK dialect, but it's a child, and I will just look on YouTube, like, you know, British child or whatever. You can look up, I mean, the world is at your fingertips. So anything you want to know, or anything you want to try to mimic in this world, or listen to or see, can I steal something from learning, from someone else that you can Google like anything nowadays. So, there's no excuses for us being like, oh, I don't really know any children, so I don't know how they talk. Like, that can't be the reason that you don't study how children speak. And I was fortunate enough to be on an animated series with the two leads were real children, and we did like 40 episodes of this show. It's a great show. It's called Treehouse Detectives. If anyone watching this has children, like preschool aged or young children, even toddlers, there's a show on Netflix called Treehouse Detectives. It's adorable. It's about little animals, and they're detectives. They're helping, the other woodland creatures find things, or with problems, or helping them, you know, learn life lessons that are appropriate for that age range. And it's so cute, and really really smart and well written, and it's not annoying. A lot of like kids shows are like kind of annoying, and it's not. It's like very endearing and heartfelt and cute. And it was directed by the voice director was Tony Oliver, who directs he directed Hunter x Hunter dub and a bunch of other things. He's the voice of Lupin the Third, one of the voices, and he's an iconic figure in the anime and gaming world. And now he directs JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and a lot of stuff. And yeah, he directed this Treehouse detective show through the vocal direction, and he's so funny. He's such a comedic genius. Honestly, he really is. Um, and I've learned a lot about comedic timing from him, and from watching how he directs other people. But the two main characters were really played by real children. Um, and they were so funny and so talented. And just watching how they banter with each other and how they say things and phrase it really was like a crash course for me in understanding uh, the way that children interact. So I do feel really lucky to have gotten like a front row seat to working with kids, and that, because it made me a better actor for sure. um and they were so lovely and talented. The one of them went on to voice the movie Megan with the doll,
Oh
like
yeah.
the yeah, she's the voice of Megan.
Oh,
Like, it's so cool. Yeah, yeah. But we worked with her like before that, when she was a kid. So yeah, and they're both doing great. Like they were both lovely actors, and still I think are doing that. And um but yeah, it's been really a treat to get to. And they're not the only ones. I worked with a lot of other children actors in different capacities throughout my life, and just the more you're around kids, you will pick up on their mannerisms. And yeah, so that's what I would say about children's voices, boy voices, girl voices, either way. um practice practice and listening back to yourself. That's always the key that I've learned with anything I'm trying to learn how to do better. I you have to listen to yourself, even if it's painful, and sometimes it will be. But you have to listen back. And luckily, once you're a voice actor, you get auditions and you have to listen back to yourself because you are editing your own auditions. That's how it works. That's the process. So you start listening to yourself all the time, and then you know all the little nuances and what makes what you like when you to do a line and what you don't, and you know how it feels in your body. Once you have a lot of hours of doing it, you know how it feels, not just how it sounds when you do certain things. So you know if you did it the way you wanted to or not, because you're like, I could feel that that wasn't placed right or whatever. Um, but yeah, the more you listen to yourself, the better you will get in tune with that and start to know how it feels to do certain things. Um, and yeah, also just learning what works for you, what is an interesting choice and what's not, what piques your interest, what makes you want to continue to listen to your own audition. And that will hopefully be what encourages someone else to do the same, although we don't know. Like that's a whole nother thing. And auditioning is such a gamble. It's such a you never know what someone's looking for. But I think the more you listen to yourself, you will get more confident in your choices and realize like this is what I would want. Um and I feel strongly about it. It may not be what they're looking for, but it works for me. And this is and these are the things that I want to convey with this audition or whatever. And then you have to forget about it. You try your best and move on. Because all of us, even the working pros, like you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. We audition for a million things and we book hardly anything. So just rinse and repeat. It's a lot of getting back up over and over again. Um, so you have to like really, really love it and be in it for the right reasons.
So with Fire Emblem, did you get Ilyana and Peony at the same time, or was Peony first? Or
I feel like they weren't at the same time. I know that. That I think that Ilyana was first.
okay,
Slightly. Yeah. Yeah, they weren't at the same time, even though they were kind of close the same year or whatever, maybe. Um, but yeah, that's always a cool treat too when you get to play more than one role in whatever, franchise or world. Kind of forces you to differentiate them. Um, but yeah, that's such a lovely like her story with video games. Sometimes you don't know a lot about what you're getting into because they are so NDA, like they're just so it's like, for example, if you're working on an anime, you get cast in a role. Sometimes that show's already out in Japan, so you can go back and watch it in Japanese, on Crunchyroll or whatever, and or you could read the manga, and you can figure out like what is this character really about. But sometimes with video games, you don't have that. And because sometimes you're working on it for a long time before it's out, as opposed to a simuldub or something, there's not any information about those characters online, or you know they they keep it under wraps when you audition. Sometimes it's very secretive in terms of like what the project is. They're usually code worded or whatever. So sometimes you just don't have all of the information that you would have when you're working in anime. And so I wasn't as aware of her character as I have been in other projects. But then once I was brought into the studio and you figure out what you're doing and they tell you, this is the project and this is your vibe of your character. And um then I started, getting to know her more. And she did exist in other video games. I just did not know. I didn't know I don't even think I knew who I had been cast to play until I showed up to start working. And so I couldn't, research her or anything. But that's why, I mean, that is what the director is for. Like that's why you have directors and producers. You lean on them and they will tell you everything that you need to know to get the performance that they're looking for. So, we don't work in, this is not a solo enterprise. This is a team effort, So there's other people that are more aware of the franchise as a whole that are there to guide you or to help you with pronunciation. We have producers that will help with the pronunciation because sometimes there's like fairy tale worlds or, all these other things or you're speaking perhaps a different language sometimes. So you do lean on other people that are on the creative team that know more about the full scope of the project than you and take their notes and collaborate, listen to them and try different things and figure out what it is they're looking for. So on all video games, I would say like you have to do that because we just don't, those worlds are massive. It's not like if I was to work on an anime, I could binge the whole thing and come in knowing a lot about the show. But there's just no way to do that when you're working on a video game. So yeah, it's either way you're going to need a director. So it doesn't really matter because there has to be somebody helping you figure out, which choice is the one that works with everybody else's choices because you're not the only character in this world. Um, it's not a one man show. So yeah, but collaborating is part of the joy for sure. Like that is if you wanted to do voiceover but never collaborate with someone, I don't know. I have no advice for you. But luckily there's um there's a lot of people that sculpt something and make it. When you see Hunter or whatever, like there's so many people that had input on why that is as good as it came out to be. I get a lot of compliments on that on Hunter, and everyone's always like the casting is so good, and it's like, yeah, that is. I hope that people realize how good how well that show is cast. um because we shine, but we shine because people let us and people trust us and guide us and you know direct us, cast us, like engineer us. Like I wouldn't have a voice if my engineers didn't like save me during Beyblade. Wouldn't even have a career. Couldn't talk to you today if they didn't make sure to record me properly because that was like a million hours of screaming. So you know, it's a group effort, but yeah, sorry that's such a long-winded roundabout way to answer your question, but yeah, that's and I don't know, Fire Emblem is the same. Every project's kind of similar in
Well, do
terms of
you,
like this, being
do you,
cast and that kind of thing.
yeah. Well, do you think that you relate more to Ilyana or to Peony then?
Mm.
Because like, Ilyana's whole thing is that she's like hungry all the time.
Right. And then Peony is very much a story about this sisterly bond.
Yeah.
I don't know because I'm an only child. I don't have any siblings. So whenever there's a story that focuses on a sister bond, like ReZero, or Peony's story, um, I can't see myself in that necessarily. I have, of course, lovely friends that I think of as family, but yeah, I don't know. And then Eliana, like she's hungry all the time, very relatable. So I don't know. That's too hard of a question. I can't answer it. I think, I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth on those. I cannot decide. I love them both and I relate to them both in different ways.
Do you have a favorite um like alt like skin that they both gotten?
They're so cute. All of them are so cute. Um, hmm, I don't know. What's your favorite one?
Well, I guess for Ilyana it would be the Halloween.
Yeah, which is like one of the first ones, right?
Yeah, because all the lines are just about eating candy and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that was the first one. Yeah, I really like that skin, and I don't know. They look cute in every way, but that is kind of how I see her in my head with the
Okay.
candy and stuff. Yeah, so that's a good choice. We'll go with that. And Peony, I don't know. She's so beautiful. I wish I could cosplay her. Um, I don't know. 'Cause Peony is like maybe one of my favorite character designs of like any character I've ever played. She's just so pretty and beautiful. And yeah, I love so whatever she wears, I'm sure she's gonna look lovely in.
Well, there was that cool duo unit too that Peony got with Melissa Fawn's character.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Very cute.
Was that do you know if that's been Patrick directing most of your sessions or Caitlin or
Oh, it's been both. Yeah, it's been both. I think my last one was Caitlin, but yeah, I've worked with both of them. Or on oh gosh, I couldn't tell you like have I worked with both of them on both characters? That I don't remember. But yes, I have definitely worked with both of them and they're both really lovely because they're both actors too, and that always helps when you have directors who are actors. Oh man. It's I mean, that being said, I also have some of my favorite directors aren't actors. So it's like Alex von David is one of everyone's favorite directors, and he's not an actor. So you don't have to be an actor to be a director. But it helps when you're like artistically inclined as opposed to like, oh, this commercial is like mostly directed by like the guy that owns the company. It's like he's a marketing person, or, like some other like thing that's like, you know, they just have a different sort of mind, I guess, and different skill set. But when you're working with an actor like Caitlin or Patrick, it's like so much easier. It's just like they just know how to talk to people, they know how to communicate, they know how they would like to be directed. So, I don't know. But your job as an actor is just to figure out what your director or client wants and give that to them. So if you want to book and you want to work in voiceover, you have to learn how to do that with all types of people because most of them are not going to be as good at communicating as Caitlin or Patrick. So, like, that's a blessing, and you should always be happy when that happens, but never expect it and don't get used to it. That's my advice.
well, and in terms of developing the voices for both of them, was it just kind of whatever you came up with?
I think so. I don't really remember because they were both established like so long ago. I mean, those are both characters I've been playing for a few years, I think. So, um yeah, I don't remember, but I think they kind of like usually when you start a session or when you start a new role, you go into the booth and the director tells you about the character and then shows you the script and it has you try a few lines with whatever you want to do with the information they've given you, and then they'll probably say like, okay, um I'm digging that, but I'm thinking maybe they're a little bit older because you are the big sister and we have someone else playing the little sister that sounds almost like what you just did, so let's age her up a little bit, so they're able to kind of fill in the blanks and tell you like what other people in this world sound like and how we need to adjust you to fit the overall cohesive idea for this project. Um, so they might give you direction. That's kind of how it goes for every project, not Fire Emblem specifically. I don't remember exactly what that first conversation looked like for either of those roles, I don't think. But sometimes first of all they'll always give you a reference when you go back into the studio and you are playing a role that's a reprisal, meaning you've played it before. You always have a voice reference on file that the production team has pulled to remind you what that character sounded like, because they don't expect you to memorize these things. Like, they know that you're playing a bunch of different characters over across the span of maybe 100 franchise, who knows how many franchises, and they're all like kind of similar but not sometimes. So and years can happen in between when you're playing this character, and like, oh, you haven't played them since 2018 but it's finally time to do the movie or whatever, so like they know that you may not remember exactly what that character sounded like, and they pull clips of you doing that character to refresh your memory. We call them references. So and then they will be like, okay, we're going to play your ref, which means like we're going to play you to remind you. And yeah, and then sometimes when you're establishing a character, if it's an anime or something like that, especially, I mean, of course, if it's an anime, they'll play the original Japanese. Um, and you might get that when you're auditioning for an anime as well. You might get a clip or an audio file of what the original actor did with the role, and they want you to take that and let that inspire your choice. So it depends on the process. To answer your question, the process of sculpting a voice, how does the voice become the voice that you go with, that you decide this is the voice for that character? It happens a couple different ways, but those are sort of the elements that are involved. And it depends, like I said, depends on the medium, depends if it's video game versus anime, or original animation. Maybe it's not based on anything. So it's a little bit different for every type of project it is, but that's the general rundown of how it works.
Is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem community?
Just thank you for playing Fire Emblem. It's been so long, and I'm so excited that you guys are still around. And I know that there's so many people that they want to see more of Ilyana. They want to see her voiced, you know, maybe some of her stories that I haven't been able to tell yet. And I hear you guys. I want to. It's like everyone's always like, "Are you gonna play Ilyana and this or that?" I don't know. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what is in store for that character down the line. I wish I did. Just know like I am ready to play this role if I'm asked, whenever I'm asked. It's a standing offer. Please, like I want to play her. I want to explore who she is and her backstory and her life, and continue to give a voice to her if I'm allowed to. Um, and Peony is, you know, her story is sometimes so sad and usually joyful, but not always. And they're both such lovely characters, and I cannot thank the community enough for embracing them. And the funny thing is, like, I don't meet that many Fire Emblem fans, but when I do, like if I go to a certain con where I meet one, I know there's going to be like a bunch. So it's like it's cool because like they kind of like there's little pockets throughout the country of like Fire Emblem fans, and it's cool because once there's like some, then more like start coming. Like they kind of find each other, and they're, oh, like you play Fire Emblem, I play Fire Emblem, and then like the community starts building. And I've kind of been able to see that in like real time, like at conventions. Like what, like I remember having a conversation with this one person, and I had already signed several peony things that day, and I was like, there's a lot of you guys here today, there's a lot of Fire Emblem fans here today. And her face lit up, and she was like, really, like, oh, I want to meet them, like. And I told her, I was like, oh yeah, there's like that person over there, like you should go make friends with them, like. And it was so cool to see like people get excited that like other people liked what they liked. And I want that for uh every community that loves anything. It's so special to connect with people that relate to a story like you do. Um, but then there's other cons that nobody brings up Fire Emblem at all. It's like, so but I know you're out there, you guys, and I love you, and I'm so thankful for y'all for playing, and for letting me, tell these stories, and being supportive, and getting excited, and changing the skins, and doing the different outfits. And like I just really am thankful, and definitely want to send my love to those fans.
So, in terms of most recently, what's the like safest roles you can talk about?
Hmm. I feel like there was something that just came out that I was like, um, oh, I need to make sure to talk about that. But there's always so many things. Like I know for sure, okay, so My Damon dropped on Netflix recently, and that's a really lovely story about a little boy, um played by Cassandra Lee Morris. and his little creature, Damon, like a little dog, but a little scary, futuristic, alien looking dog, played by Christina V. And she's so adorable. It's like the cutest little creature, but it's got like eyeballs over its head. It's kind of like creepy cute, like Tim Burton-y. And she just does the most adorable little squeaky little cute voice for it. And Cassandra Lee Morris is like the queen of doing children's voices. They are so natural, and she's such an iconic, incredible actor. And then me, I'm like the next biggest role. I think I don't know. I haven't seen all the episodes, but I'm a pretty important role in this world. Oh, his mom is also really important. That's a complex character as well. And then I play this really like kind of like cool, like this is unique for me because I don't ever get to play like the cool girl. Like I'm always like either the mysterious one or the cute one or the smart one, but like I'm never like, hey, look, I gotta get my motorcycles in the shop. Like they don't let me be that cool, you know. So she's like super cool, like cool big sister vibes. um and there's that character in a lot of things. It's just that I don't usually get to be the one to do that role. Um, and the story is super heartfelt and really well written. So that's My Damon on Netflix. It just came out. Uh, and all the episodes are up, so you don't have to wait. You can just binge it. It's a not that long either. There's not that many episodes. So if you're looking for a short term commitment show, My Damon is also one of my new recommendations. And yeah, Gamera, if you haven't seen Gamera Rebirth, I'm still really excited about that because it came out, I think around Thanksgiving, so it wasn't that long ago. But I just won an award for it right before Christmas. I won a Society of Voice Arts Awards. It's called the SOVAs. Um, I won an award for best anime character. Uh, and it was so cool to get to, celebrate anime with the voiceover community as a whole. Um, and in Gamera, if anyone watching this doesn't know about Gamera, Gamera is a character. He's a creature in the Godzilla world. So there's like other, kaiju and titans and stuff like that in the Godzilla world, and Gamera is this other guy, and he's a big, kind of looks like Godzilla, but he's a turtle, and he has like a special bond with children. Kind of, he's like a protector guy, and and he, I play the main little boy. There's a little crew of children played by Robbie Damon and Abby Trott and Sean Chiplock and me, and and there it's very like Stranger Things vibe, like kids on bikes with radios, like kind of retro sort of vibes. And it's really endearing, and it's really, I love the story. It's like every character you like every character is like funny and like complex and sweet and good-hearted, and like they have such a lovely little bond, kind of like Stranger Things, you know what I mean, like that, like the bond is very adorable and very endearing, and it's funny, like it's genuinely like kind of hilarious and cute, but then also scary action sequences and amazing animation in the Gamera attacks and stuff like that, the action sequences basically when he's fighting all the other kaiju and stuff. So um yeah, it's just a really cool show, and I like to plug that one as well. So please take a look at it. That one's on Netflix as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I mean, that's so sweet. I just hope that I'm like, hmm. I mean, I think that probably because of Evangelion's history, like I'll always be a footnote on that franchise, and that's gonna be the one of the biggest honors of my life forever. Um, I knew that going in, like this is gonna be something I'm tied to for because it is already proven. It had already proven the test of time way before I was involved. Um, so getting to be a footnote on that is that's like, that should be enough for anyone, you know, like that alone is mind-boggling. To get to share two roles with Megumi Hayashibara, who plays Sage in Japanese in the Sonic world, uh, is beyond anything I could comprehend. I'm so very grateful for that, and grateful to be in the Sonic world. I mean, that's another thing that I hope is my legacy. I hope that I'm tied to that franchise as well, because what an incredible franchise to get to play in. Sonic is going to be forever for sure. But I don't know. I mean, I already feel so blessed to have been able to play the roles I've played. Um, I mean, for me, growing up, Pokemon was a dream come true, dream come true to be the voice of Alistair in the mainline anime series, and also to share that role with Casey Mangela, who played Alistair before me in, I think it was Twilight Wings or one of the other Pokemon spinoffs, and Casey was Shinji to my Rei when we did Evangelion. So that was very special as well, to get to share one more thing with someone that I already had such a deep bond with. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope that, like, I don't know. I think it's important to remain a really good person through all of this, because a lot of people could book good roles and have a good voice and be a good actor. And like, you really, I've met people that I really looked up to in the voiceover world, and then they weren't that nice. Like people on the convention circuit that were like, usually from the generation before us, like most of the like voice actors that are more my peers, or you know, they get it and they have highs and lows, and they don't really have an ego about it, because we've all failed so many times before we get where we are. But I've met older, you know, voice actors who did not have those struggling years because they came into the industry at a time when less people wanted to be voice actors. They are amazingly talented, but they also never had the kind of competition that we have nowadays. And they don't like fully seem to have a grasp on how lucky they are. And sometimes they can be kind of mean. So it's just kind of sad when that happens, and it's happened more than once. So I hope that like people think I was nice, and like that I cared about other people, and like maintained my humanity throughout it, which is funny because that is kind of, I mean, that is part of Ray's struggle, is like, let me, like, you know, let me be a human. Like, how much of me is human, and let's make sure that it remains that way, you know? Um, but yeah, I want to be a good person, I guess, is what is my answer to that. Like, I really want to know that if I get where I want to go in life, that I did it while being a good person. Because if you get all the way to the top of the mountain and then you're like not the same, like not you didn't do it the right way, then I don't think it really mattered. Like you shouldn't have done it at all, in other words. And like nobody is making you be a voice actor. Nobody is born with the, like, it's such a privilege to get to do this, you know? And I don't want to ever forget that. Like, I am fine with being, um, like a lot of people will be like on Twitter, like, I'm not a role model. Like, don't do what I do. Like, and I don't want to be like that. Like, that's fine to each their own. But like, I do want to like be the kind of person that, um, that a kid could look up to, because some of the content we're making is for kids, like this it like cartoons, and I've been the kid that watched these cartoons and then grew up to meet the voice actor and they weren't very nice, and it was like sad and depressing, you know, like it affected kind of how I looked at that show or that property, and I don't want that to happen. Like, what a letdown, you know. I never want to do that to anyone. Of course it's like whatever. Cons are weird. Sometimes people are mean to me, you know, so it goes both ways. But, you know, like just be a good person. Be a good person, and tell the truth, like with your art, your it's all this fake story or this whatever. It's written, it's scripted, it's not real. But it is my job to figure out what part of it is real, and to be truthful about those parts. So uh yeah, I want to like really get vulnerable and really get honest, and that's all I'm after. That's what I hope to leave behind. Um yeah, I hope that's my legacy. And for them to be like, she was one of the best at kids' voices. Hopefully like that. um, but yeah, I want to do something like that. I also really would love to like play in a world that I don't know yet, like a world that's like completely new to me, and help define that world. Like, um, yeah, there's just so many dreams. There's so many things I'm just happy to continue to be here to dream another day, I guess. And there's so many. I mean, if you, I could doing Hello Kitty alone would have been enough for me to be happy for a lifetime. So everything after this, like Pokemon, Sonic, like these dreams, Digimon, these are I'm already beyond grateful. So I dare to dream a little more, but gosh, I feel greedy because I'm so thankful for everything that's happened and all the stories I've gotten to tell this far. And yeah, that's what I hope is my legacy.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and inviting me to join you. I hope that something I said inspires somebody. And if not, then hopefully you didn't listen this entire time. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day then.
Yeah, take care.